If you have question you want to ask, go ahead.
What is the state of consciousness of a fully enlightened person different from a regular person?
Without defilement, without greed, hate and delusion. The consciousness is the same. The consciousness is compared to the clothes we wear. Once you wash it, then you get rid of all the dirty stuff from the clothes. Then you get the clean clothes. It's still the same one, same thing, same consciousness, but without greed, hate and delusion, without desire, kama tanha, bhava tanha, vibhava tanha. And you need to use the practice of sila, samadhi and panya to be able to get rid of all these defilements.
Can I ask another question?
Sure, go ahead, ask all you want.
When the consciousness is fully purified in a fully enlightened being, do they have access to knowledge of the universe that's not possible for regular people?
They have more knowledge about the inner universe, the spiritual world, not so much as the physical world. They know more about heaven and hell and different levels of existences.
And how much is that dependent on the conditions? So if a fully enlightened being is put into a state of war or conflict, will they lose their ability to have that sense of purification? Because a lot of it is dependent on causes and conditions.
The mind, once it's purified, it will always remain purified regardless of the situation. See, because the process of purification or defilement arises within the mind itself, not dependent on the external conditions. Once you have eliminated the cause that makes the mind defile, then it will be always pure.
What are the signs?
Can you speak closer to the microphone?
Sure. What are the signs of a teacher who is an effective teacher, a spiritual teacher? How do you differentiate? Because there are many spiritual teachers. How do you differentiate one who will be effective?
Well, one you can do is first you have to study the teaching of the Lord Buddha himself, and the way how he conducted himself and lived and taught. Then you use that as like a standard of measurement. If monks or teachers live up to his standard, then you can be more or less confident that he's enlightened. But you still don't know. You will only know after you study with him, and then you apply his teaching to your practice. And if you become enlightened because of that, then you can be quite certain that he must be enlightened before, or else he won't be able to teach you how to become enlightened.
How does somebody who has reached a level of enlightenment know that they have reached it?
It's like eating. Once you're full, you know you're full. If you're still hungry, you're still hungry. You don't have to ask anybody. It's sanditiko. It can be proven by yourself. Once you have got rid of a certain amount of suffering, you know that you no longer will have this kind of suffering anymore, because you have eliminated the cause of this suffering, which is your attachment to that particular thing. See? Like your body, a Sotapanna can let go of his body because he sees the body is not himself, not herself. The mind and the body are two separate things. And the mind knows that the body will have to get sick, get old and die, regardless of what you do. So if you don't want to be suffered by the aging sickness of the body, then you must not cling to the body. You must not have the desire for the body not to get old, get sick or die. Once you let this desire go, then you will no longer be depressed by whatever happens to the body.
And could you say a little bit about the phala there's magga phala. Is there a different experience when an enlightened being has the fruition of the phala? Is there an experience of a different type of consciousness, or?
No, it's just the experience of when you have this acute fear, and suddenly you use the Dhamma to eliminate this fear. Then you know there's a change in yourself. You're no longer afraid of death, for instance. So you have to expose yourself to some fear first, to know whether you can eliminate that fear or not. That's why a lot of monks will go into the jungle, to the forest, to live alone, and expose themselves to all sort of danger. And when fear arises, they use the Dhamma to deal with it. And if they can eliminate the fear, then they know that they have experienced a state of enlightenment. When the mind changes from extreme fear to perfect peace and calm. You know.
It is said that Nirvana is an unconditioned state, and so everything that we have access to mentally is conditioned, and that's easy to understand when you study the Dharma. But how is the experience in Nirvana, which is supposedly unconditioned, different then? Is it a state of altered consciousness?
I'm not sure whether you interpret what you read correctly, but Nirvana is a state of mind in which the mind no longer clings to any conditioned things. It doesn't cling to the body, it doesn't cling anything that arises and ceases. It knows that if you cling to anything that arises and ceases, you will be unhappy when they disappear, when they cease. So this is the mind just understand the conditioned things and no longer cling to them or rely on them to make it happy. Right now we rely on conditioned things to make us happy. We rely on the body, we rely on things that we see, we hear to make us happy. But all these things are conditioned things. They rise and cease, they come and go. And our happiness and suffering rise and cease as they come and go. So when you see this with wisdom, then you relinquish your attachment or your desire for these things. Then you remain in the state of not relying on the conditioned things. So the mind, Nibbana is unconditioned in that sense of the word.
You had said that a fully enlightened person has access to the internal universe. And so then is it possible for them to know of their past lives and the karma that brought them to where they are?
This is a special gift. Not everyone can have it. Some do and some don't. The Buddha had it. He could recollect his past life. And some teachers do and some don't. But this is not a prerequisite for your attainment to enlightenment. It is just like a bonus. A special gift that you have somehow attained in your previous life before. You might have learned how to recollect past lives in your previous life.
Ajahn, in Ajahn Mun's biography there is a talk that Lungta Mahabhut talks about the devas that came to listen to the teaching of the Dhamma. Is that something that was only possible for Ajahn Mun?
Yes, this is another special gift. Not everyone who has become enlightened has that gift. The Buddha had it. He taught the devas every night. At night, after he taught the monks, he would teach the devas. You have to have a special connector to connect to these spiritual beings. Some people do, some people don't. But this doesn't make you enlightened or not enlightened. Enlightenment requires that you see everything as anicca, dukkha, anatta. And that is wisdom, insight.
Ajahn, how does one know if one has reached a level of samadhi that's adequate to still the defilements, so therefore contemplation is possible?
When you have reached full samadhi, all your defilement will stop functioning. So you know. Once you know you can stop them, you can stop them later on.
Some teachers talk about being able to see a light as a sign that you've reached that, but that doesn't always happen to everybody.
No. When you reach full samadhi, usually everything is disappear, and you sort of floating in space, nothing. You're in emptiness. All you have left is just the consciousness, the one who knows, and equanimity, a sense of peace and calm, without any kind of like or dislike within the mind. It's a state of purification really, but it's a temporary one. Once you come out of samadhi, then your mind starts to come back to the conditioned world, and then the mind will start to react. Then you need to use wisdom to teach the mind not to react to the conditioned things, to leave them alone.
So Ajahn, I had a question about anapanasati, in which mindfulness of breathing. So after a certain amount of time, the mindfulness will prevent thoughts from arising very quickly, and so you can just be with the breath. But is it sometimes I've experienced a stage where the mindfulness is so strong that it can also prevent the perception of the breath coming or going. So is that appropriate, or?
No. Mindfulness doesn't prevent you from perceiving what you concentrate on. It keeps you more, your sense of awareness more heightened. You're more aware of what you are watching, like your breath. And then this will prevent the thoughts from coming in to disturb your concentration. If you have strong mindfulness, then your mind can become concentrate very quickly. You become calm very quickly.
Yes. Yeah. So it's important to then stay with the breath for as long as the breath can be felt?
Absolutely. Nothing else. Don't let your mind wander to other things. If a thought comes in, ignore it. If anything comes in, light or sound or anything, ignore them. Just watch only the breath. And then your breath will take your mind into samadhi.
What advice would you give to a layperson who is seriously interested in the Dharma, but their work doesn't always help them?
Well, first of all, you need to find time to practice, and to practice fruitfully. You need a continuous length of time, not just doing 1 hour a day or something like that. Maybe you should, on your day off, like you don't have to work, then devote that day for the practice. And when you do that, the first thing you want to do is to develop mindfulness. Try to maintain mindfulness to stop your mind from thinking. From the time you get up, from the time you open your eyes, you should start mindfulness right away. Try to stop your mind from thinking about things that is not important, that you don't have to think at that time. Or focus on your body, mindfulness of your body. Just keep watching what your body is doing. Be here and now. Don't let the mind go to the past or go to the future. And when you have time, sit down, close your eyes, and concentrate on your breathing, on your breath. Try to do as much as possible. If you do it, eventually, if you have strong and continuous mindfulness, your mind will become calm. And then you'll find another kind of happiness that is much better than other kinds of happiness. And then once you have this, you will become invigorated, energized. You want to do more. And then you will start to relinquish or giving up other activities so that you can have the time to devote to your meditation practice. So you have to find some time to practice on a full-time basis, like going on maybe a retreat or something like that, 7 days, 2 weeks or something. If you can do it every month, that would be better, If you do it once a year, maybe that's too long a gap, But anyway, the goal is to have a glimpse of what it's like when your mind is calm. Once you have seen that, it will give you a lot of encouragement, give you a strong sense of willingness to do more practice.
So we've been doing that for about 15 years, and we have had that experience that you're describing. But it's like we've developed the disenchantment, the samvega, but it's difficult to make the next step, which...
You have to separate yourself. Maybe that's the hindrance that keep you not going anywhere. We call kama chanda, one of the hindrances. You're still attached to the happiness of the body.
Well, actually, I think it's more the fear of leaving the lay life and entering something we are not familiar with.
That's because you haven't yet experienced enough of the result of your practice. If you have enough of it, it will make you not afraid to leave everything behind, because what you have found is much better. But you know that you have to be serious, and you have to keep pushing yourself. Anytime you become lazy, you will expose yourself to sadness or suffering. Okay? You want to ask questions?
Hello. Thank you, Ajahn, first for taking the time to answer our questions. My question is maybe simple, and maybe you've answered it earlier. How do we distinguish a desire, a wholesome desire, to an unwholesome desire, if that makes sense?
The unwholesome desire, the Buddha had described as the three tanha, the desire for sensual gratification, like to see, to hear, to make you happy. This is like an addiction you have to get rid of, because it's harmful, not useful to the mind. Because when you have desire and you cannot get what you desire for, then you can become sad or depressed. So this is sensual gratification, kama tanha, and then the desire to become somebody or something. This is we call bhava tanha, the desire to be. And the third one is the desire not to be, not to get old, get sick or die. This is viphava tanha. These are the three desires that is bad for the mind. But good, wholesome desire is like the desire to meditate, the desire to give dana, to give money, to charity, to keep the precepts. These are good desire.
So in relation to, like you mentioned, sense desire, or maybe gratification, or those sort of things, it will always start at a very low level before it becomes negative in the sense of greed, in that sense.
Yeah.
So in our daily life, we're always challenged to make decisions and which are often based on desires. So there's a point sometimes where there's a turning point where we have to either move forward and push a bit more, or take a step back and, as you say, let things go as they arise, for example.
You mean when you have problem, what should you do with the problem?
For example,
yeah. You can either take it or leave it. If you leave it, then your problem will disappear. If you still want to take it, then you still have to solve the problem. And if you cannot get it, then the problem will still be there. The problem will only disappear when you get what you want. So it's better not to get what you want, because whatever you get, one day you're gonna lose it anyway when you die.
So in that sense, is that if there's a few people involved, if it's in a work scenario or in a relationship scenario, there's more than one person involved, so if the decision is from my part, it could be seen as selfish or not considerate for the other people.
Well,
or is that solely to my decision?
It depends how you define the word selfish. See, if they define that selfish is for you, you have to suffer for other people, then you don't want to be. You rather be selfish, right? Yeah. So as long as you're not hurting other people and you withdraw from them, I don't think that's selfish.
Yes.
I think that's wise, that's wisdom.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.